On behalf of Scott LaChasse, Chief of the Burbank Police Department, and the men and women of the Burbank Police Department, I would like to welcome you to this ceremony. There are three individuals I'd like to introduce to you at this moment. Dr. Wayne Walters, who is a senior pastor of the First United Methodist Church here in Burbank. He is also pioneering the Chief's vision of a department chaplain program. Dr. Walters will be presenting the invocation. Secondly, Araceli Jimenez is a specialist with the 730th TC Company of the U.S. Army Reserve, stationed out of Bell, California. She will present the Pledge of Allegiance. She has served this country since 1991 as an Army reservist. She took a tour in Iraq and returned with a flag which she presented to the Burbank Police Department. She is expected to return to Iraq early next year. Kiyomi Scott is a police officer with the Burbank Police Department. She's one of our newest additions, and she will be singing the national anthem. What I ask of all uniformed personnel is, when you're brought to attention, to render a flag salute during the Pledge of Allegiance and the national anthem. Dr. Walters.
Let us pray. God of mercy and justice, as we gather this morning for the swearing in of Chief LaChasse, who has already served our city and its citizens with distinction as interim chief, I ask that you bless him for the work that lies ahead as he provides direction and oversight of our police department. Grant him wisdom when facing difficult challenges, strength when the work of his office seems overwhelming, a soft touch when consoling those who are suffering, and a sense of humor to keep sane in addressing all the expectations we have of him. We ask for your blessing upon him, his work, his family, and his service to our department and community. Amen.
Good morning. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you for your service. I am very grateful and honored to serve with you, and you are always in my prayers. Thank you.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was beautiful. Now I'd like to introduce your Master of Ceremonies for this event, Mr. James Elroy. He's a renowned author and a very good personal friend of Chief LaChasse.
Good morning, everyone. I'm proud and thrilled to be here today with my adopted family, law enforcement in Southern California. It's been a rocky road to this point for me. I started out as a minor miscreant about town. I can't honestly say that Scott LaChasse kicked my ass when he was on the Los Angeles Police Department. But Chief Jim McDonnell of the Los Angeles PD did way back when, and he's chief in Long Beach now. I am too honorable to steal, too nervous to steal, too proud to accept welfare, and much too lazy to work. Thus, writing books and giving speeches was the only option open to me, and I am particularly honored to be here for Scott LaChasse's swearing in as Burbank Police Chief today. If there is a great historical fact to law enforcement in Southern California, it is that scandal always precipitates great and honorable change. Scott LaChasse has stepped into an appointment of gravity and tremendous moment in the history of Los Angeles County law enforcement. He is imbued with a visionary sense of social justice, superb managerial skills, and a profound reformer zeal. I am honored again to be here overseeing his swearing in today. And with his swearing in comes the great concept advanced during President George W. Bush's administration of No Child Left Behind. And Scott LaChasse, a true egalitarian, is advancing this morning no human being in Southern California law enforcement left unintroduced. And on that note, I have to introduce no fewer than 51 people in alphabetical order, with one exception, and I'm looking here at a 5th District Field Deputy's 12-syllable name, and I'm saving this woman, whose first name is Rita, for the very last, because she gets the Best Surname Award here today. How did you know, sir? And thank you for supplying it. On that note, let us begin. Andre Barot, the U.S. Attorney. Jackie Lacey, the District Attorney of Los Angeles. Jackie, you're the DA. Adam Carter, from Senator Carol Liu's office. Mr. Carter. Mary Hovakimian, Congress Adam Schiff's office.
Right down there to your left, right under the statue. There she is.
Glad to see you. You can stand up. Okay. Moon Young Ko from Assemblyman Mike Gatto's office. Dennis Zine, Councilman, the City of Los Angeles. Emily Gabaletti, Mayor of the City of Burbank. Gary Brick, Council Member here in Burbank. One out of chronological order, Dr. David Gordon, Vice Mayor, City of Burbank. Doctor. Jess Tomalantes, Council Member, City of Burbank. Robert Frutos, Council Member, City of Burbank. Ken Pulskamp, City Manager, City of Burbank. Justin Hess, the Assistant City Manager. There he is. Let's see. Amy Albano, the City Attorney here in Burbank. Albano. Debbie Kutka, the City Clerk here in Burbank. Sharon Cohen, thanks for the job, Sharon. The Director of our Library Service Department here. Ron Davis, General Manager, Burbank Water and Power. Betsy Dolan, the Director of Management Services. Joy Forbes, the Director of Community Development. Cindy Giraldo, the Director of Financial Services. Tom Linehan, the Chief of our Fire Department. Drew Sugars, the Public Information Officer. Bonnie Tiefer, the Director of Public Works. Judy Wilkie, the Director of Parks, Recreation, Community Services. Jennifer Wyatt, the Director of Information Technology. Tom Brule, former Police Commissioner. Police Commissioner Robert Cohen. Police Commissioner Hagop Hergalian. Police Commissioner Nathan Rubenfeld. Police Commissioner Elise Stearns Nyson. Police Commissioner Rick Warmack. Police Commissioner Amy Vest. Moving along here, we have Bill Dance, Assistant Chief, the California Highway Patrol. Assistant Sheriff, pardon me, Cecil Rombo, Los Angeles Sheriff's Department. Garth Pettijohn, Assistant Special Agent in Charge for the U.S. Department of State. Margarita Perez, Assistant Chief Probation Officer, LA County Department of Probation. Tom Hessian, Chief Inspector for the U.S. Marshal Service. Bob Guthrie, Chief of the Arcadia PD. Sam Gonzalez, Chief of the Azusa PD. Lily Hadzel, Chief of the Baldwin Park PD. Paul Cooper, Chief of the Claremont PD. Kim Rainey, Chief of the Covina PD. Tom Lenahan, once again, Chief of the Burbank Fire Department. They got you twice. Rhonda Pompa, Chief of the Glendale PD. Gary Montecuolo, Chief of the Glendale College Police. Robert Castro, Chief of the Glendora PD. Diane Urban, Chief of the Hayward PD. Steve Zipperman, Chief of the LA School Police. Scott Pickwith, Chief of the Laverne PD. Jim McDonald, Chief of the Long Beach PD. Jim Hunt, Chief of the Monrovia PD. Kevin McClure, Chief of the Montebello PD. Jim Smith, Chief of the Monterey Park PD. Dave Keatle, Chief of the Pomona PD. Joe Leonardi, Chief of the Redondo Beach PD. Robert Parks, Chief of the San Fernando PD. David Lawton, Chief of the San Gabriel PD. Jacqueline Seabrooks, Chief of the Santa Monica PD. Larry Giannone, Chief of the Sierra Madre PD. Okay. Art Miller, Chief of the South Pasadena PD. Terry Hara, Deputy Chief, LAPD. Let's see, Terry. Robert Green, Deputy Chief, LAPD Ops. Alvin Agus, Deputy Chief, Santa Monica PD. Rebecca Lewis, the District Attorney of Pasadena. Bill McSweeney, Division Chief, LASD. Doug Owsley, LA Clear Director, California Department of Justice, Los Angeles Regional. Roger Bass, LA, HIDTA, LA, parenthetically, High Intensity Drug Trafficking Area. Woo! Kirk Albanese, Deputy Chief, LAPD. Tommy Tunson, Retired Chief, Southgate Police Department. Anthony Williams, Special Agent in Charge, DEA. Weller Wesley, Special Agent in Charge, U.S. Department of State. Once again, Andre Barat, U.S. Attorney for the Central District of California. David Singer, U.S. Marshal for the Central District of California. John D'Angelo, Assistant Special Agent in Charge, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. To conclude, and I was very deftly coached by this man over here, Rita Hadjimanukian, Field Deputy for Michael D. Antonovich, the 5th District Supervisor, County of Los Angeles. How do you top all of this? Introduction. Our guest speakers today are, Chief Angel, would you come up for a second? This is a little bit unclear. Are these speakers here? No. You go to the guest speakers.
Right.
Huh?
Yeah.
We have 3 guest speakers here today. And the first one is Chief Kim Rainey, and he is the president of the California Police Chiefs Association, as well as the chief of police here in Covina, California. Will you welcome Chief Rainey, please?
Well, good morning. On behalf of the 330 police chiefs in the state of California, it's my privilege to be here today and to represent them as we swear in Chief Scott LaChasse as the chief of the Burbank Police Department. And what I still find amazing is that we have an audience here full of police chiefs, and yet the fire chief gets introduced twice. I mean, you guys, you guys are good. You guys really know how to do it. But to the city of Burbank and to the men and women of the Burbank Police Department, I've had the privilege of serving in Southern California law enforcement for nearly 36 years. And both this city and the Burbank Police Department has always been well respected and a very good reputation throughout the industry. But like every other organization, sometimes there's challenges. And the real issue, the real challenge is that when you're faced with a crisis, the ability to come in and address those, enhance the things that are working good for your organization, and identify and change the things that need to be fixed. And I've had the privilege of working with Chief LaChasse for the last 3 years. I've known of his reputation for probably 20 years, and he is one of the most respected law enforcement leaders in Southern California. And what I have found out, and again, I think why all the chiefs are here, is that sometimes leadership is lonely, and you have some difficult decisions to make, but you've got to make those decisions to change and lead an organization through crisis. And I think Scott has demonstrated that, and I think that's what he will bring to the city of Burbank and the Burbank Police Department in the future. I've been in this business long enough where I think I can be honest with you about two traits I've seen with cops. Is first, cops don't like the status quo, and two, they don't like change. And that's the truth. And I think what you've got with Chief LaChasse is you've got the right man at the right time to lead the Burbank Police Department through a period of change. And so again, on behalf of the 330 police chiefs throughout the state of California, I congratulate Chief LaChasse on his achievement. We look forward to working with you throughout the state. I know you will bring experience, value, and leadership both to the community and to the law enforcement profession, and congratulations on your achievement, Scott.
Thank you, Chief Rainey. Before we introduce our next speaker, we have introductory remarks, first from our mayor here in Burbank, Emily Gable-Luddy.
We're making this up as we go along. You know, just a couple of things. When I first met Scott LaChasse, what did he hand me? A copy of the Constitution. And it reminded me of the rock bottom principles of why our sworn personnel are out to serve our community. It reminded me of the kind of values that you all hold inside of yourselves as you undertake this responsible action. And today, seeing so many people here, I can see that there's really a brotherhood and a sisterhood among law enforcement officials. So, Chief LaChasse, congratulations. On the back of your program, there is a mission statement and our core values here in Burbank's Police Department. And I wanted to say just a short word about respect, integrity, and excellence. About 4 weeks ago, I met one of our patrol officers, and he told me about a call that PD had received reporting a man staggering down the street. I think it was Olive Avenue. And so the officer went out to check this out, and it was not an inebriated person. It was a very, very elderly man who could not walk straight. The officer invited him into the car, and because the man couldn't remember where he parked his car. When they found his car, that wasn't quite enough. The officer drove him back to his home In the meantime, talking to him about his physical condition. And when that wasn't enough, the officer walked him to the front door, and the elderly man let him in, and the officer observed that the house was the home of an elderly person who was saving everything. Newspapers, magazines, gifts, things, stuff, hoarding things. That wasn't enough. Our Burbank police officer asked him if he had any sons or daughters in the community, and it turned out he didn't. He asked him if he had any other relatives. It turned out he had a nephew in Glendale. Well, that wasn't enough. So the officer contacted the nephew, made a reconnection with the uncle, and at the end of the day, while it was a difficult experience, he also called on the county to help this elderly gentleman who still lived in his home, like many of us hope to do, to provide him the kind of services he needed to move his life ahead where he was in his life. And to me, that is the rock bottom example of respect, integrity, and excellence that we all celebrate here at the Burbank community for our police officers. So I just want to close by saying it's a welcome appointment, a well-deserved appointment, and by virtue of the presence of all of you today, a tremendous appointment for our community and our city. And again, congratulations, Scott LaChasse.
Thank you, Mayor. More remarks from Burbank Interim City Manager Ken Polskamp.
What an honor it is to be here this morning. Many of you are here this morning because you know Chief LaChasse personally or have worked with him here in Burbank over the last several years. I remember the first time I met Scott LaChasse last year and thinking, you know, they gotta be joking. The media capital of the world, the police chief looks like a movie star. Chief, you wear those sunglasses well. You know, I've known Scott now for a little over 6 months, and it didn't take me long to figure out that the city of Burbank had a keeper. As many of you know, Scott LaChasse arrived here more than 3 years ago with a very impressive resume. He had 3 decades with the Los Angeles Police Department, and many of those years in command positions. He had college degrees, including a master's in public administration from the University of Southern California. He also served as the president of security and emergency services over at Paramount Pictures. That's probably where he got the movie star thing going. You know, he had a impressive resume, but whoever was going to run the Burbank Police Department really needed to have a first-rate pedigree. Experience, leadership, ethics, fortitude, diplomacy, compassion. Good leaders possess these qualities. If you're going to run this police department, those qualities are essential. In addition, this assignment in 2009, then the interim chief of the Burbank Police Department, came with many challenges that had to be addressed immediately. Scott got to work immediately and proved that he was the right person for this job. Now, I've already said that he arrived with credentials, but even Chief LaChasse came to Burbank. If he came without all that experience and track record of success, I can tell you that during these last several years, he compiled an impressive list of accomplishments. He immediately brought in a very experienced command staff to review all the department operations. He created a comprehensive strategic plan that promoted a more contemporary and inclusive police department. He gave supervising officers more authority and required of them more accountability. He enhanced the citizens' complaint process. He reestablished the community academies, now presented in English, Spanish, Armenian, and also for the hearing impaired. And sworn-in civilian staff throughout the department created a new core value statement that the mayor just discussed. Throughout the chief's tenure with the Burbank Police Department, he focused on establishing and maintaining transparency, openness, inclusion, and collaboration within the department and with the community we serve. As a result, if you look at the crime rate, the emergency response times, complaints, officer-initiated activity, and use of force, all of these are now moving in positive directions. All the actions he initiated and the results we are seeing contributed to my decision to elevate Scott LaChasse from interim chief to permanent police chief. His fresh perspective, his use of best practices have already made the Burbank Police Department a better organization. I want to ensure that all of his hard work and positive results will continue long into the future. Chief LaChasse, you've accomplished many things during your tenure. I look forward to even more success in the years to come. Congratulations.
The second of our featured speakers here today, my good friend, formerly Assistant Chief of the Los Angeles Police Department, the Chief of the Long Beach Police Department, Jim McDonald.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It's a great day for Burbank and a great day for LA County, and it's always great to be able to share the stage with James Elroy. They pulled a fast one on you, James, though. I can see by the title here that what they gave you was the reserved parking list when you introduced everybody. It's not often people get one over on him. I was honored to be asked to say a few words at this very important ceremony for all of us. I've had the pleasure of knowing Scott LaChasse for 26 years, which makes me feel kind of old. I was a detective working homicide in 77th Street Division in 1987. And in that year, in that 12 square mile area, we had 160 homicides, and Scott was my captain. I look around here and sit and see how many faces out there were also there. At least a dozen people here today were in that same environment. And looking at those people wearing different uniforms, some retired and still wearing a uniform, but having the same mission. He was well regarded then as a leader working under some pretty adverse conditions. Working out of a soon-to-be-condemned building, detectives sharing desks, bloody clothing hanging to dry everywhere before it could be booked. The on-call team could catch a half a dozen homicides in a weekend. That was an environment that fortunately is hard to explain today. Yet morale was sky high. Captain LaChasse at the time built a team that focused on the challenge and led by example. The worse it got, it seemed the better we got. Well, I watched Scott promote over the years, and he never forgot where he came from. And he still leads by example. However, looking at this facility here today, Scott, you've come a long way. Today we work together as police professionals better than we ever have before. We realize that none of us can be successful alone and that events can quickly overcome the capacity of any single department. The Dorner case recently demonstrated that. In this region, we work together, we train together, and we succeed together. Police executives from around the nation come here to see how we do it. We collaborate on issues ranging from sharing resources to investigative leads, intelligence, to working side by side with local, county, state, and federal partners, and you see many of them here today, on task forces. And we do this for crime problems, counterterrorism efforts, and any other challenge that comes along. That is our default. It makes good sense, and we have a great team. Congratulations to Scott. On behalf of all of the members of the Los Angeles County Police Chiefs Association, we are proud to have you as our partner.
Thank you, Jim. Our next speaker is Gary Olson, the President and CEO of the Burbank Chamber of Commerce. Thanks for the help with that pronunciation.
Sure, not a problem. What a great day in beautiful downtown Burbank. I'm honored the chief asked me to say a few words, but I'd like to start off by expressing appreciation to Ken Pulskamp for making the decision to make Scott our new permanent chief of police. Doesn't that sound good? And Ken, I have absolutely no doubt whatsoever that in future years, when you reflect back on your period of service here in Burbank, that you will count this decision as one of your greatest achievements on our behalf. A great, astute, and wise decision, justified by so many accomplishments while Scott was on his watch as our interim police chief. Ken alluded to a lot of them, but I think some of them are bear repeating, if you will. It's a lengthy list. I'll go through them quickly. Reorganizing the department, implementing a strategic plan, creating a professional oversight process, establishing a professional standards policy, strengthening internal affairs procedures, improving officer training, emphasizing constitutional policing practices, implementing audit and control systems, initiating measures of inclusion and collaboration, creating contemporary use of force policies and review procedures, developing the mental health evaluation team, instituting a new pilot neighborhood policing team program, and commissioning the completion of a comprehensive organizational culture study. By any performance measurement standard, this is a record of achievement that cannot be surpassed. But Scott also accomplished a couple of other big, important matters on our behalf. Ken alluded to the command team, staff, actually, the chief calls them, I like to call them the team, a team that epitomizes the highest standards of police professionalism. Finally, for some time, Scott has wanted to create a foundation. And recently, that goal was realized with the formation of our new Burbank Police Foundation under the leadership of two-time Mayor Michael Hastings, in the back there, Michael, and with the vital assistance of the Burbank Police Officers Association. Chief, as Ken mentioned, you received your MBA at USC, and perhaps you know the name Warren Bennis, a renowned corporate consultant. Warren also created the Leadership Institute at USC. He worked for several years with more than 1,200 top CEOs around the country, and he came to the conclusion that there are certain strengths and abilities that make them successful. I'll only name three: technical proficiency, business literacy, and excellent people skills. At the same time, he determined that there are two essentials where CEOs get tripped up: judgment and character. When Scott LaChasse came to Burbank to be our interim police chief, some of us got to know him right away, and we quickly surmised that this is a man who makes sound judgments and decisions. This is a man with immense character and integrity. This is a man who has the skills and talents to run any police department. He also came to Burbank with a strong, even voracious desire to have the department be the best it can possibly be. We realize that what a great moment this is for you personally today, Scott. It is for all of us in the community as well. But it goes beyond the borders of Burbank. It reaches into Glendale. You and I were both raised in Glendale. And I know over the years, the good folks in Glendale have been very proud of your career and all the successes you have enjoyed with the LAPD. And I'm sure today they join with all of us here in paying tribute and honoring this promotion. Ladies and gentlemen, clearly our police department has been in good hands with Scott at the helm, serving as our interim chief, and with his continuing leadership, combined with the efforts of all of the fine men and women within our Burbank Police Department, we can be confident that our community will continue to be as safe as possible. Sue Georgino, our former Community Development Director, Sue, you're down there, she once said there are 5 essential elements to a community: the city and schools and the services they provide, the residents, the business sector, the nonprofits, and the faith-based community. So as we look forward, all of us have our part to play. The department, by supporting all of us and making sure that our community is as safe as possible, and with all of the rest of us moving together into the future, striving to take the department to even higher levels of excellence that will hopefully earn both the respect and envy of law enforcement agencies throughout the country. Congratulations, Chief. Well done. And as a former Trojan, fight on.
Finally, the solemn moment. She's the DA now. District Attorney Jackie Lacey will administer the oath of office to Chief Scott LaChasse. Good to see you.
Well, good morning. I'm honored that I was asked to administer the oath. Scott is a friend, and I'm just rooting for him. And it's all been said that he's a great leader, and everything rises and falls on leadership. So what I'm going to do is verbally swear Scott in, and then I'll ask Scott to actually sign the oath. We've never done it this way before, but actually sign the oath that he is pledging today. So Scott, come forward. Raise your right hand. Come a little closer. Okay. I state your name.
Scott LaChasse.
Do solemnly swear.
Do solemnly swear.
That I will support and defend.
That I will support and defend.
The Constitution of the United States.
The Constitution of the United States.
And the Constitution of the State of California.
And the Constitution of the State of California.
Against all enemies.
Against all enemies.
Foreign and domestic.
Foreign and domestic.
That I will bear true faith and allegiance.
That I will bear true faith and allegiance.
To the Constitution of the United States.
To the Constitution of the United States.
And the Constitution of the State of California.
And the Constitution of the State of California.
That I take this obligation freely.
That I take this obligation freely.
Without any mental reservation.
Without any mental reservation.
Or purpose of evasion.
Or purpose of evasion.
That I will well and faithfully.
That I will well and faithfully.
Discharge the duties.
Discharge the duties.
Upon which I'm about to enter.
Upon which I am about to enter.
Congratulations, Chief. Thank you. Okay, so you sign, hang on. You sign here. Here, I've got a pen. Hang on. You sign there. Sure. And I will sign here. Make sure your secretary gets this. Great. Thank you. Here we go.
Now, after the first moment that we've all been waiting for, the second, Scott LaChasse tells it like it is. Chief LaChasse.
Don't know where to start. I am overwhelmed, but thank you, thank you, thank you. I'd like to go through a list of appreciative remarks for folks. First, Tom Angel, thank you for getting this started. You're a man of loyalty, dedication, and perseverance, and without you guys, I would not be here today. Dr. Walters, thank you for your inspiration. Specialist Araceli Jimenez, thank you for your service to our country and for being a part of our community. Officer Kiyomi Scott, thank you. You're a classy person, and you add a lot of spirit, and you've got a great future ahead of you in this department. James Elroy, thank you for keeping us on track. Appreciate your spirit and your power. Mayor Gabaletti and City Manager Ken Polskamp, I appreciate your kind words and support. It's very meaningful. And then, of course, to Chiefs Rainey and McDonald. The reason they're here is that Kim Rainey, as was said, represents all of the chiefs of police in the state of California, and Jim McDonald represents all 46 of us in LA County as president. And it was very meaningful to have you here I know there's a lot of competition today. We've got the Homeland Security Conference at the Bonaventure downtown, which is an inherent conflict, but also we've got the torch relay run, so there are a lot of folks from Southeast LA County that were unable to make it today because of that particular activity. And then Gary Olson, I appreciate from day one your support and your desire for us to engage in a partnership for the benefit of the business and residential communities within our city. Thank you very much. Jackie Lacey, you're a great person, and I appreciate your friendship and what you've done to include law enforcement in the progress of what you're doing now at the DA's office. And I'm particularly honored to have Andre Barat here, the United States Attorney for the Central District of California. It's very meaningful. And I, again, appreciate what your office has done for local law enforcement. And we're all going to benefit as a society from what both of you have done. I'd like to also thank everybody here that's been involved in my background. I've been around for a long time, so I guess I know a lot of people. But you know, it's heartening to see all the blue suits out here and memories that go back well over 40 years. It's very much appreciated that you're here. I want to also thank all of Burbank's elected and appointed officials, and particularly the executive team, and for the first time in my professional career, the ability to deal on a daily basis with folks that truly function as a team. And there's no one-upsmanship going on, no backstabbing going on. We all have a job to do. We're all cogs in a wheel, and we understand and realize that if one of those cogs starts to falter, that eventually the wheel is going to cave in. So it's really a delight to work with the executive team here. Also so proud of the many Burbank employees and community members that are here, and the scores of other folks that I worked with. And those of you that know me and know me well know that I like to get involved and I like to make contributions. So let me just run through a list of folks. I'm a part of the Peace Officers Association of Los Angeles County. We have several members here today. The Parker Foundation, the Police Museum Board, the California Forensic Science Institute, the Challengers Boys and Girls Club, and of course the Chief Special Agents Association. And then, of course, a couple of former employees got big delegations. I see Rick Madrid down here from Paramount. I hired him prior to leaving and going over to Southern California, Edison. We got quite a delegation from Southern California, Edison here, and I appreciate your support. I'd like to do some introductions. Of course, most of you know the biggest thing in my life was my son, Dan, who's a captain in the Marine Corps. He's flying F-18s. So this entire event was predicated on his presence, but he's not here. So we had a date set in May, and he's preparing for another overseas tour, and so he had to go out of the state for about 3 weeks. So while he was gone, we find another date where we could coincide everybody's participation in this event. He was free, so we set the date for today, June 4th. And while he was away last month, he then found out this week he's going to be down in Arizona doing some, they got new weapon systems that he has to become familiar with in preparation for going overseas once again. But he's been certainly the inspiration of my life, the motivation, and somebody that I'm immensely proud of. So, Dan, I love you. I know you're not here, but I know we're going to be talking later on today. Other introductions, my mother here, Dorothy, 89 years young. And then my brother, Dean, with one of those other agencies in LA County, the Sheriff's Department. All right, there's also some folks here that have been a part of my life for a long time, going back, in some cases, over 60 years. The first one is Paul Courier, individual I grew up with, went to school with. He's a retired Burbank City employee, a photographer extraordinaire. Another individual, Jack Bailey, or as he's known in the legal profession, Julian Bailey. He's a Superior Court judge in Orange County, and an individual that went all the way through school with, starting out in kindergarten. He and I have maintained that relationship, even though I went to SC. He went to UCLA for his undergraduate work and his JD. He then goes into law enforcement as a deputy DA in Orange County, but goes to the other table after a while. He had an intense desire to defend people and defended most of the major capital cases in Orange County. A man of true intellect and an individual that I was honored to write a letter for to the governor in recommendation, making a recommendation for him to become a Superior Court judge. So it was just last year at this time that I attended his enrobing in Orange County. Happy to have him here. And we have two other local connections. Mark and Danny Sanchez went through school with. They own United Bakery here in the city and have done extremely well. So that goes way back in time. Other individuals, I'm going to have the entire team stand up here. And where is Sherry? Sherry, come on up. Now, just stand up for a while here. I would not be here without this team. And you talk about complete selflessness and people that are extraordinarily dedicated to their craft and profession, but have maintained a real compassionate personality with a desire to move people along. You know, Tom Angel, I don't know how you do it with the hours that you've been putting in, but and it's so even-tempered and such a contemporary thinker. Mike Albanese, he's not as tough as he looks. I know he's follically challenged. And this morning when I was looking out the window, here he was, just got done working out. He's barking off commands to people. But another stellar employee that's here on the weekends, it's here late at night, like a patrol captain should be, and really making those observations and engaging in those relationships that are so critically important in this profession. Dennis Kremens is here under difficult circumstances today. There's a medical situation in his family. But another person that was here last weekend helping out with the Police Foundation, was here the previous weekend over Memorial Day, just being here, not just catching up, but wanted to be a part of what was going on a holiday weekend. Ron Caruso, that's got such a encyclopedic memory of what in history of this department, and has been so totally supportive. And then Josephine Wilson, our police administrator, is a great person. And if I stick around long enough, I'm sure we're all going to be working for her because she's got city manager written all over her personality and skill sets. Come on, Josephine. Now, Sherry, is Sherry avoiding me? Okay, Sherry Nakamura, I see you. You need to be a part of the team. But, you know, Sherry really is the one that was running this event, you know, all weekend long. I mean, it started off, I think it was Thursday night, Friday morning, when Josephine and Sherry are still here. I'm getting emails at midnight. I'm getting emails all day Sunday from Sherry. She was here all last night. I mean, you're a remarkable person, Sherry, and without you being a part of this team, would not have flourished to the extent that we have. So thank you to everybody. If we give this team an acknowledgement, I would appreciate it. Thank you. And somewhere out here is Dr. Larry Blum. Where's Larry? Okay. Dr. Blum came in and did an organizational culture study. He's a person in whom we have the most confidence, and under trying circumstances really drill down into the organization, which is what you need to do periodically to figure out where you are, where you have been, and where you need to go. But more importantly, he's such a sincere person that truly cares about people. And what he was able to do is give us so many ideas to infuse into our training to keep people out of adverse incidents. And by having situational awareness and by seeing those telltale signs out there, it's just been remarkable what we've been able to do in our training, and I think it's trending in the right way. And Larry, I have the utmost respect for you, and I really admire your passion as well as your compassion. Thank you very much. Three other folks I'd like to talk about briefly. Mike Giannacco of the Office of Independent Review, Bob Corbin, a former Christopher Commission attorney, and then came back with the Rampart panel, and then another individual, Bob Taylor, who most recently was the Chief Probation Officer for Los Angeles County. But in terms of helping us design a course so we could move forward with the least amount of friction, I owe so much, and the team owes so much to these three individuals. But for them to be as contemporary as they are, and to give us the information that we needed and the support that we needed to keep pushing the organization forward, so we would not just be contemporary, but we would be among the best of the contemporary organizations. So to each of you, I say thank you. And then there's Jackie Seabrooks. You weren't gonna escape it, Jackie. She's become my mentor, and at the time she was the chief in Inglewood, and we spent hours and hours and hours together. They had some adverse situations in Inglewood, and finally one day I take Tom Angel out to meet her, and so we sat down, I think, for a brunch, and about dinner time we leave, and during that period of time, I think at one point, Jackie, you got up and had to take a phone call or something, and Tom looked at me and said, my God, if there is a superwoman, it's Jackie Seabrooks. And truly, Jackie, you are a superwoman, and you have given me so much, and the rest of the team, the support that we needed to keep moving forward. So thank you. And I want to go real quickly through a couple of names from my past and try to tie it together. You know, first is James Q. Wilson and George Nelling wrote about broken windows. But what predates broken windows are some folks that I worked with, and one of whom is down here. Where's Maria Marquez? Where are you down? Okay. Maria was a senior lead officer at 77th Street Division when I was there. She ended up becoming the consummate community organizer. She understood demographics and how there were changing demographics and how we needed to change the department in order to include people. Really big into quality of life, really big into caring and compassion. More than once over the holiday period, we would have folks that had all of their Christmas gifts stolen, and it was people like Maria that would make bonsai runs all over Southern California using their own money to buy items for these distraught families. But from you, Maria, I learned so incredibly much that has really allowed me to flourish in this particular capacity. Next one, I know we've got Darlene Kuba here, and somewhere is Carol Hamilton Watkins, but they worked for a guy by the name of Gil Lindsay, the Emperor of the Great Ninth, back in the 80s. And I learned so much from you, particularly Darlene, who was working on the business side of the street. Carol was working on the residential side of the street, so to speak. And while we had 160-some homicides that Jim McDonald referred to back in 1987, as we went out into the community, that was not their only concern. It was the graffiti, it was the alleys, it was the trees that were on the 80-year clipping program. And you guys really taught me so much about organizing the community and paying attention to the small stuff, and again, I'm very appreciative. We have another family here, Albert and Catherine Williams and their daughter Vera. There they are down here. I mean, really great people. So I'm a young captain, and sometimes getting as many as 20 people shipped into the division every 4 weeks. So would have an introduction with these folks on the first day of the deployment period, and then go out to a community member's home, and usually that was to Catherine and Albert Williams's home. And so we had people coming in that didn't really understand what their job was. And it was people like Catherine and Albert that really would bring neighbors in and help tell people what police work in this particular community, which was a very depressed community, was all about. And as there were demographic changes in the community, just as Maria did, they ensured that we pulled all of the demographics into these meetings so that we would understand each other. We would find that sometimes there were barriers, but when we identified those barriers, we were then able to adapt strategies to deal with it. Another individual I saw here, Corey Danzler. There you go. Corey's dad, Lou Danzler, after the riots in '65, started the Challengers Boys and Girls Club. And actually it started out of the back of a pickup truck where Corey's dad, Lou, would take kids up to Griffith Park. And what he started doing is just targeting kids that didn't have a whole lot of productive things to do. But over the years, and I'm a board member still, albeit I just can't be there to the extent that I would like. But you talk about a truly remarkable organization that's truly contemporary and changes. It's not about athletics, it's about life, your life skills. And you just don't go there and participate in athletics. You get to participate in athletics after you've made sure that your academic challenges have been achieved. The other great thing about that particular organization is that families are required to come in, and their in-kind contribution is really dedicating service to the Challengers Boys and Girls Club. And again, as I saw the demographic shifts, there was a big effort by the Challengers and the Danzler family to make sure that the needs of every segment of the community was addressed. And I'll tell you, there's just no way that I can get away from what you've done for me in my career. Next person is Rose Ochi. And I've got to recognize Rose. We met in the 80s. She was the mayor's Criminal Justice Coordinating Council head. And then she went on to bigger and better things later on. Went back to Washington at ONDCP, the Office of National Drug Control Policy. And then actually worked for Eric Holder in the previous administration as a director of the Community Relations Service of the Department of Justice. And then finally came back, was on the LA Police Commission. But in the late 80s, somehow I meet up with Rose and was selected to go to Japan for 3 weeks and determine why they were so successful in combating crime and why we were such a failure. But all of those individuals I previously identified, coupled with what Rose did for me by that first trip to Japan so I could really study the lessons learned from all of you that I've mentioned, and then that opportunity, Rose, that you gave me to go to Japan for 3 weeks and back and forth between Tokyo and Osaka and all parts in between, was really great and really formed the foundation for what I'm all about today. Okay, what defines us and where are we going? And just to give you some takeaways, I'll try to be really brief, but what I want to talk about is CPC, Communications, Partnerships, and Continuous Improvement. And with every segment of the community and with every segment of the department, it is our desire to establish communications, to nurture those communications and sustain communications so that we can freely talk. And hopefully what's going to happen is those open lines of communications and transparency are going to build into partnerships where we can partner as members of a profession, perhaps with the community, perhaps with the business community, perhaps with somebody from a particular discipline. Because partnerships, again, need to be nurtured and then sustained, and hopefully they'll live forever. Not wanting to rest on our laurels, that's where continuous improvement crops in. You can never, in this profession or in any facet of your professional or personal life, become complacent. So we constantly strive to improve. So if there's one message I have, and this is often said by me and others, and particularly the command staff here, it is an absolute imperative that we engage in community partnerships with the communications for the continuous improvement. And as previously was alluded to, we are trending exceedingly well. When you look at the abundance of talent on this department, the education level, the achievements of so many people, and then that all is translated into crime is down, response times are down, officer-initiated activities are up. You look at the community interaction, the community academies, and all the new enhanced community programs. We've talked about Michael Hastings, and there's some others here from the Police Foundation. And really what we're trying to do is just not find some money to sustain some programs that are no longer offered, but it's really an opportunity for us to get together with various aspects of the community and work in collaboration for the betterment of the community. Again, other areas that would show the commitment to continuous improvement and are really all innovative. The crime analysis capability that we started, the engagement in predictive policing, predictive analytics. You look at the mental health evaluation team and our partnership with the County Department of Mental Health and what we're doing, and then all of the bottoms-up activities that have occurred here. As you look on the back of the program, the mission statement, core values are indicated, and that was not a top to bottom, that was a bottom to top product. And people at every rank level, sworn and civilian, were a part of that. They're the ones that formulated that new mission statement that's very short and understandable, and those core values which are so critically important to us. You take a look at the new uniforms that we have, the new badge, the new graphics on the car. Again, that was all the product of police officers through the rank of captain getting together with civilian counterparts and actually going out, engaging in product demonstrations and different types of analysis of different uniform products out there that resulted in the new cars, the new badges, the new uniforms. You know, and I know it's been mentioned, but I've got to mention it again, and that is the community academies that have been expanded, and as we've gone out into the Spanish-speaking community, the Armenian community, as well as the hearing impaired or deaf community. I think, you know, we're going to do more of that. We need to do more of that because it's all about oneness and us coming together and establishing those bonds. So as we offer and schedule more community academies, we're going to get more volunteers into the department that are going to bring diverse ideas into our particular environment. And hopefully what we're going to be able to do is really have a force multiplier for this department. And again, I can't overestimate or underestimate the value of the bottoms-up approach. You know, in most organizations, it's the people doing the work on the line that are most familiar with what the problems are in the organization, and we are all as a team so encouraged by the ideas that are bubbling up and the degree of engagement of people at the lower levels in the organization, because they know where the problems are and they know what needs to be done. So hopefully with what I've talked about before, the openness and communications, the building of partnerships, we're going to continue to move forward. Winding down, we also pledged to be the police to the entire community, and toward this end, what we want to do is truly empower every segment of our communities. And that's something we're deeply committed to. And as people should know, on a 24/7 basis with these guys here, there's always somebody here, and those doors are always open, and there's no reason for somebody not, whether from the community or from the department or city government, not to be involved. Again, workforce is fantastic. We're trending well, and it bodes extremely well for the future. One more little takeaway, and as you know, I like to push out pearls of wisdom, or what we call words to live by, words to lead by. And let me read one to you very briefly. Coming together is a beginning. Keeping together is progress. Working together is success. As Henry Ford, a long time ago, and I've got to give credit to Chief Diane Urban from the Hayward Police Department. We exchange these types of pearls of wisdom on an almost daily basis, so I very much appreciated that one, and it's been put to good use. Last thing I'd like to do is thank everybody that was involved. Sherry was reluctant to give me the names of all individuals for fear of offending somebody, but we'll get those names later so I can at least go around and thank everybody personally, because I know how much work it took to put this event together. Last thing I'd like to do is, they already alluded to it, the mayor alluded to it, but the Constitution. And there's not an officer that comes on this department that doesn't get a new copy of the Constitution and the Law Enforcement Code of Ethics, and there's nobody that doesn't get promoted, doesn't get another copy. But, you know, I pledge to everybody here as we move forward, but this is what we're all about, this document. And what we're going to do is this is a revered document, and we are all committed to understanding and following not just what's in the Constitution, but what's in the law. So with that, I think I'll turn it back to James, and I think I need to thank you for the fine weather, James.
The great poet James Dickey wrote on the occasion of President Jimmy Carter's inauguration a poem. And it ends with the words, "My life belongs to the world. I will do what I can." It is an odd world, a powerfully changing world, that Chief Scott LaChasse now inherits. Crime is not an isolated incident. It is a continuing circumstance. More than any sociological cause and effect, crime is this: individual moral default on an epidemic scale. This is a society changing. We are in seismic flux. With a necessary greater inclusiveness and diversity comes enhanced personal freedom, and with enhanced personal freedom on the societal level comes greater licentiousness and a destructive freedom. Police work is about addressing the society at large as it is in its most nakedly unlawful, and what it should be by the imposition, occasionally through force, of the civil contract. Scott LaChasse, in every sense a progressive, is faced with great challenges as he brings reform to police work in the city of Burbank. Let us all offer him our best thoughts and prayers. Thank you. God bless you.